Brown's search process and interview process, which they have run a number of times, is unlike any other in the NFL. They are a data-driven operation in Cleveland. And so they spend an extraordinary amount of time gathering data on their coaching candidates. You're talking about taking a personality test. You're talking about writing an essay. You're talking about completing homework assignments going into both the first and the second rounds of interviews.
All this time, I have been thinking that the New Orleans Pelicans were the worst franchise in sports. All this time, I have thought the Pelicans were the dump of dumps. But then the Cleveland Browns step in and they once again prove they are the supreme dump. No wonder this team can't find a head coach. No wonder Jim Harbaugh refused to even consider the Cleveland Browns. No wonder Mike McDaniel told them no after one Zoom interview. If I went to a job interview and they gave me homework, if I went to a job interview and they wanted to feed me a personality test, instead of giving them the test back, I'm going to give them a spoon so they can eat my ass. When you're a city like Cleveland, you don't get the luxury of being difficult to work with. The same thing with New Orleans. You don't get the luxury of being overly selective. There is a reason Cleveland is referred to as the mistake by the lake. The weather might be miserable in New Orleans for maybe even 5 months out of the year, but at least New Orleans has things to do. There is always something happening in New Orleans. If you can't find something to do in New Orleans, that is a you problem. There's not shit to do in Cleveland. To make matters worse, the Browns are arguably the worst franchise in sports. So I'm struggling to understand why the Browns think that they have the luxury of being selective. I'm struggling to understand why the Browns are giving grown men homework. You know, it would be one thing if this process was working. It would be one thing if the Browns had proof of concept. It would be one thing if the Browns could point to a sustained period of success. Problem is, they can't. This dump of a franchise, they have not been relevant in my lifetime. And the thing is, there was no need for this coaching search. The Browns had a coach. The Browns had someone in the building who went to the playoffs with a 39-year-old Joe Flacco. But for some reason, they ran his ass out of town. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. I will never understand why the Cleveland Browns fired Kevin Stefanski. But KC, he had a losing record. This man couldn't find a way to win. Couldn't find a way to win? Was Kevin Stefanski responsible for going after Deshaun Watson? Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I seem to remember Kevin Stefanski thinking Deshaun Watson was a mistake. Matter of fact, I believe Kevin Stefanski felt like he was stuck with Deshaun Watson. Ironically enough, he found himself stuck with another quarterback that he didn't want just a couple of years later. But listen to this list of starting quarterbacks that Kevin Stefanski was stuck with in Cleveland. You tell me, which NFL coach is winning with these scrubs? Case Keenum, Nick Mullins, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, PJ Walker, Jeff Driscoll, Bailey Zapper, Dylan Gabriel, Shaduer Sanders. How in the hell did he find ways to lose with that list of Hall of Famers. I remember back in April, there were reports that Kevin Stefanski was not happy with the Browns drafting Shaduer Sanders. It's not hard to understand why. Number one thing NFL head coaches try to eliminate: distractions. Every coach in the league knew Shaduer Sanders would be a distraction. And look, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that lonely men in the mainstream sports media are obsessed with him. Not his fault that Skip Bayless wants to be his sugar daddy. But just because it's not his fault doesn't take away from the fact that Shaduer Sanders is a distraction. It's the reason 31 other teams in the NFL passed on him. And they didn't pass on him once. They didn't pass on him twice. 31 other NFL teams, they passed on Shaduer Sanders 4 times. And the dumbass team that decided to draft him, they end up firing a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. They fired one of the better coaches in the league because he couldn't find a way to win with a rookie 5th-round draft pick. Is it any wonder why the Cleveland Browns are known for losing? We're an analytical organization. We value analytics. Yeah, that's great. It's great. You know what other teams value? Winning. You fired Kevin Stefanski, and now you can't find a head coach. It has been damn near a month, and the Browns, they haven't even met the requirements for the Rooney Rule, which means even if they had found a head coach, they can't hire him. What a disaster. This organization is an embarrassment. They are a flaming ass fire. And if I was an NFL head coach, I would not want to be responsible for coaching this dump either. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.